What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Boyce, and you're here for another episode of the Facts Project. Today, special guest, very first time on the program, Christopher Curtis. We're here to talk about Jazz, Juggernauts against Zealots. Thank you for being here, brother.
Hey, man, likewise. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And as you can see by this copy that I have here behind me, we are here to get into issue 0 and basically what has just been successful on Kickstarter in issue 1. And of course, with issue 0 being this precursor and more of an origin story of the beings that basically in this team that we've read into, it's good to talk about these characters with the person that put them together. So thank you once again. So if we could get into this story, the way that it was constructed and how you basically put this together. And notably, a lot of people don't pick teams when they're doing their comics in the first place. Most of them pick like a solo character and they'll try to derive it from there. Why all in your first choice of putting this together was it that you wanted to do a team first more than maybe like a solo character like everybody else chooses?
Well, so Jazz used to it started off as a solo project, a solo narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Nova was the main character, and
Okay.
she's still the last member of Jazz, but I wanted to kind of do a origin into this series, into the situation, and over time, as I was writing it, I kind of fell out of making one narrative and making the group an actual character
Right.
instead, and it just flowed easier. There's a lot of multiple personalities that I'm able to control better than trying to do it from a solo perspective. So just think of Jazz as like one long character.
Got you. Got you. Now, in midst of the team, we're talking about Nova, Beats, Hex, Mute, Kill Switch, all very distinctive in all their personalities, and all with one esteemed goal. And when when you're talking about like the beginning couple pages of this storyline, you come to realize what the action is and the plot is kind of like very quickly because there's these portal incursions, or better yet, a portal crisis that is happening in the town of Neo Haven. And then literally almost out of nowhere, beings are popping up, almost Pacific Rim style. Now, you have it maybe in issue 1 that everybody's pretty much going to get in their hands pretty soon is the fact of why these excursions are happening. Does that come to light in issue 1 or issue 2?
It comes so it does not come to light as to what they are yet,
Okay.
but you're gonna see a lot of the bone work actually in the very next issue, which is in 2.
Mm-hmm.
Issue 1 is basically setting up for what all they have to do to uncover the all the truths between the Neo Haven government and the portals, and you kind of get a little view on um what the other opposition's doing about
Yeah.
it. So as of right now, everything has been from Jazz's point of view, and now we're going to switch over to the government's point of view and what they plan to do, and kind of like take the story to a whole different level. So between chapter 0 and chapter 1, I've done enough of getting all the personalities and getting the situation of what they do, and now it's time to show you what happens when you keep kicking the hornet's nest.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I just sent this off to my artist about 2 hours ago, and she liked it a lot. So we're now starting the other leg, so to speak.
Got you. And you come to see that also almost at the same time because literally, like I think the first occurrence was kind of like a Cerberus, a three-headed dog that was coming out of a portal. And the military is pretty much the first ones there. But then once Jazz interferes, you could tell that they're more so like the annoying little kids that just come in and disrupt everything as far as the military is concerned. But when they do dissolve everything, Kill Switch has a little bit of a tool that she utilizes against these beasts because she from a deceased portal beast, she has this ring that absorbs all of the all the beasts that come in through the portals.
Yeah, so with that ring, she's able to She's like a necromancer, so she's
That's what I
able
was thinking.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. So she could, so think of it like Pokemon, where you have access to a set team. She
Hmm.
can only carry two at a time. So whenever she finds something that she likes, she'll swap them out. And I try to keep all of that technical doohickey off to the side so
Yeah.
that it's not smattering everything that I do want people to see. So you won't see her like fighting over like which one do I want. It's always like, okay, I want that one.
Hmm.
And then that like whatever happens. But yeah, I've you're gonna also learn about that ring about halfway through the series, and that's probably gonna be the more important part.
I was going to ask you that. I almost had like a little bit of a premonition because of the fact that she's like the only person that has one. And the fact that she had the opportunity to obtain it, that there will be more so of like a ping aspect, almost like the 10 rings for Shang-Chi,
Yeah,
where they're calling out to basically things in the portal that are more so escaping.
I gotta open back. I have to open back up chapter 0 because I don't believe I have said that much, but you are somehow able to
You
put
have
some dots. There's some dots, and now I'm kind of like, how did you do that?
it. Hey
Did
man,
I is one of my docs open? Oh, no,
no,
they're all
no.
closed.
It's not in there, man. That's just an educated guess.
That's that's kind. I mean, like that's probably the closest anyone's ever gotten, and now I don't know. Like, who are you? Like, how did you do that?
But even in that aspect, I mean, we're looking at it and we see a little bit of an implementation into the Neo Haven government because Commissioner Towers is trying to basically do a public broadcast as to all the incursions that are happening in the city. And Hex, of course, is overriding the teleprompter and taking that over for God knows what. But what we come to find out, of course, Hex's father, Dr. Benjamin Morgan, is more so of an Alfred to the bunch, which is pretty good, right?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Now,
There's no like ulterior motive or anything for that one.
right. And would you say that like pretty much he is the person that's more so funding the team?
He is. It's less about funding and more about um direction
Okay,
because
got you.
since he works for the Neo Haven government where his technology was used to create the shields that go over the city, and it was his understanding that his technology was to be used for that.
Hmm.
However, he finds that his and this is much later, but he finds that his technology has actually been used for nefarious means out of his will. So he can't shut him down. He cannot get close to it. So he institutes this team to doing what he can't do from where he's at. So he works like both sides.
That's what I'm saying. He's kind of like an inside guy because he actually works for the Neo Haven government all the while he's Hex's father.
Yeah. And there's that also comes ahead around the end of chapter 1 and in the very beginning of chapter 2. So you kind of get to see what they think because at the end of 0
Hmm.
you see a figure who was able to get all the transcripts of their text,
Mm,
and that's going to come to head here pretty soon.
wow. Now, is there interest? Is there going to be a portion in the story? Because we haven't seen exactly, I guess maybe in issue one, it might be possible, but how this team was brought together.
um when I started this, because some people were kind of like, I wish you would have given us an origin, and I was like, no, I want you to just hit the ground running, go from here, and then
Gotcha.
just run along with me as I drag your face on it.
Hmm.
But a origin story itself, I had plans for it. I want to see how far I get with it,
Okay.
and if there's a lot of like we need to, like like we have to have it, then I'll run back and do a quick one shot. I have some of it planned out, but it's possible. Like anything's possible.
Yeah. And the fact in which I have, of course, I have the book here. The fact that this is kind of like a manga inside of a westernized comic, and more so often than not. and how the artwork is done and how the outside cover is done, it reads just like a manga. And what basically inspired you to basically take this format and put it in this book in such a way? Because you could have created just a manga, almost in a traditional form, smaller book, a lot more pages, but you decided to go this way. What was that decision?
I because I wanted to kind of do my own thing and go in the middle. I wasn't quite sure if I should have went 100% in one direction or 100% in the other direction, and then I kind of stopped wondering about that and started kind of wondering what do I like and how do I feel
Hmm.
about it. And so I went this route where it's like, yes, it reads Western. No, it's got Japanese ethics behind it. It's kind of like TMNT has the like exact same thing. And
Yeah.
once you figure that out, you're like, well, I'll just go ahead and do that instead.
Yep. That's dope. That's dope. Now, as far as like the continuation of this story, like how long does this story go? Is it like a six issue series? Can it go eight? How far have you got this going on?
I got this stretched out for about 12 or 13 chapters, and it's gonna end in 3 volumes.
Wow. Mm. Now I can only imagine how far this could possibly go. Now, in it teaches on the team. What like I said before, is very versatile. You basically have a former MMA fighter who had a life-saving operation done to her spine, almost like Bullseye in the comics. Then you have Beats, who basically he's almost like the roadblock of the group. He rhymes and everything that he basically says. You got Hex, who basically has her own debilitating mech. Mute, who is their sentient android, and Kill Switch, of course, is the main one that's pretty much the more magical one out of the crew. If you want to call her the Raven of Teen Titans of the crew. But there's an interesting link between Kill Switch and Hex. Nobody talks to Hex in a certain manner, and that's a reason to doing so. Why is that? Is it just a crush?
No, so Killswitch is the oldest member of Jazz. She's
Hmm.
about 27, and she kind of takes over as a top dog mother type role.
Hmm.
So she's very protective of her friends, and whenever there's any type of like injustice done, she's there to put whoever in check, because in her eyes, no one can do this to my team but me.
Mm.
So you see a bunch of that. Actually, that comes to a head pretty soon, because you saw the dialogue between her and Nova,
Yes.
and Nova is a young brash character who kind of just thinks about doing one type of thing. There's no other way to do it, and it's always punching. It's always something physical, and
Hmm.
that kind of irks Kill Switch, because um we have to have teams, team synergy. I can't just have you just doing whatever you want it. And B, this might be a small spoiler. Uh, she reminds her of her half sister
Ah.
who shows up in chapter 2 and at the very end of chapter 0.
Okay.
There's not much of a link yet, but matter of fact, I'm talking as if you haven't seen chapter 1, and that's coming out soon.
Yeah, I know.
In
I
true
actually funded.
fulfillment.
Yeah, I funded that Kickstarter, so I'm expecting that in my hands very soon.
Are you physical or digital?
Physical.
That's why.
Yeah,
I sent all the digitals out yesterday, and my inbox has been like ringing right now.
you know what? Then more than likely I do have it. So I'm definitely going to be getting to that pretty soon because I got the digital and the physical. So more than likely I
Oh,
already
actually,
have it.
let me. Sorry, so let me make a plan. I will send those out tonight, because I
Oh,
honestly I was
okay.
gonna wait until I ship them, because I haven't shipped them out yet. So I mean I haven't ordered them yet. I'm still waiting on Kickstarter to give me my dang money. But once that happens, because I always expedite
Yeah.
anyway. So once that happens, then I'm gonna just ship them right out. But yeah, it's coming soon.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, as far as just the indie comic community, not to say that you're even fresh at this, but the thing is, with these two projects being funded as quickly as they are, as they have been, because not only did you put out issue 1, I mean issue 0, at the end of last year, and that was funded. You put out issue one pretty quickly, and that was funded, uh, definitely better than the first. How do you feel like the reception has been from the indie comic community to the comic, or if you like to call it a manga so far?
I didn't even really go within the indie comic community for this one.
Mhm.
I realized that if I stayed just in this community, I would be stuck at the low number and the low interest. So I kind of went outside of the circle
Okay.
to kind of bring more people into it as you're supposed to. And I think that's what made it a much bigger turnaround. So when I'm looking at on the next one, by the time that we get to the very next one, I should double. So my whole goal was to always double.
And you did
Um
this time. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, and I even said out loud I was gonna double it, and I had people that were like, good luck, and I was like, I know what the hell I'm doing.
Mhm.
And it worked out. So just trying new things, trying to get this in the right places. Just overall talking about it. I try to use my social media to talk about jazz, as opposed to just saying whatever. And then there are days where I'll just say whatever. So it's all about how you use your tools.
That no, that's obviously true. Now, when you talk about being outside of the box and not being more dependent on the indie comic community, like what stretch of the imagination did you go to in order to advertise the book or market the book in such a way that it bolstered you a lot more customers, a lot more people adding to the contributions than they did before?
Well, when you do manga, and
Mm.
especially like indie manga, which is it goes by a whole bunch of names now,
Yep.
you can't go into the same circles that are not familiar or don't like manga. So you have to go to where manga is normally put in at. There is a lot of untapped gold, and I've said this last year on my YouTube channel like a lot of times. Discord,
Yeah.
there is some untapped gold, and it's how you use Discord and get into certain channels. Can you really uh pilfer? If that's the word I want to use.
Mhm.
A lot of people, and it's just like being in those spaces and then being genuine about what you do. People will notice that there's a certain way about people like me who just make passion projects and have so much love and soul into it that they go, I have to get involved, and that's what it's been so far.
Dope. Yo, now, like, as far as like the contribution of basically what we've seen so far as a villain aspect, when you decide the creation of a lot of the monsters that you have that are coming out of these portals, like, where did those inspirations come from? Because you have, when the first one came through, I was like, Severus, I'm like, oh man, he's jumping in the mythology card, like popping that one out. So, like, when the other ones start to make these incursions and they start to make that happen, like, where are you getting the inspiration for the monsters that you have coming through these portals?
Well, all the monsters are being pulled from different parts of time.
Hmm.
Um, and so that one just happened to be from like that mythos,
Hmm.
but there'll be times where there's like a cybernetic one that comes through, or they have to go through um like a Godzilla-ish type thing.
Right.
It's really about just trying to not pigeonhole these monsters, because I want to have like a large variety just in case this thing gets bigger than I think it will be.
Mm.
It'll be a lot easier for like licensing and marketing down the road, where I could probably use Godzilla at some point.
That's true. That's true. Now, when we're talking about like the just basic inspirations, because we talked about just the monsters just a second ago. Um, what what basically brought this to mind? Obviously, if you were a fan of manga and anime in the past, or better yet, just any type of westernized comics, like what basically said to yourself, like, I can do this too. Like, this is definitely the type of style or the type of artwork or the type of comic that I would put together if I were to do it. If there was something big on the fan base that drew you to it, what was that inspiration like?
This is actually a very good question. So you're familiar with Saturday AM, right?
Yeah, yeah, white manga.
So I saw some advertisements for Clock Striker right as I was writing this, and this actually started off as a video game idea that we ended up scrapping because my the designer couldn't finish. So
Okay.
we kind of like scrapped it, and I was like, no, I love all these characters. But after so randomly, don't it's 24, 2022 ish. I saw no 21. I saw Clock Striker in some Saturday AM thing, and I kept looking at it, and I was like, I could do that. It's
Hmm.
it's 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 right there. It's right in front of me. I don't know why I couldn't do that.
Right.
So I kind of did research and I sat around a lot of the wrong people and listened to all like a lot of the wrong people and jacked myself up. If you look at my past Kickstarters, there's some three bad ones right back there, back to back to back to back.
Mm.
But I just watched how he did it and then I saw that there was a lot of other people doing it. And the more I saw it, the more I realized that it's possible to do it and it's fun to do it. Um, it's been one of the best things that I've ever done in terms of my works, and I have like a vast variety of works already out right now.
That's excellent, man. Now, when you're basically like taking the time, putting this together and coming out to the point where it's been more of a passion project for you and the development and putting this together and how it's been such a process to where you've been able to put this in everybody's hands. Is there any future plans for Jazz to basically showcase themselves inside of a Comic-Con and be sold on the market, doing the politician, shaking hands and kissing babies?
Yes, and as of this month, I have restarted my publisher search to do just that. I realized that if I want to get that far, I can't do it alone. I should not be able to. I shouldn't have to like do it alone.
Mhm.
There are people and teams that'll work with me. Um, I just have to be presentable and be open. So, um, I've been looking at Iconic Comics is one. They just emailed me back today,
Yeah.
and then Antarctic Press.
Okay.
I have to send them chapter one when it's printed. But those are the two that I'm kind of looking back and forth. Like, are you guys want this? You guys ready for all this? And I hope it works. But if not, then there's other publishers, and if I can't get one, then I have to build back up until I can get one. So my whole plan is to go ahead and get one.
Word. And having the opportunity to be something that's not variously seen nowadays. You talked about Saturday AM and White Manga and the artwork that he's doing. It's not a lot of black indie manga creators out there. To fact that to basically show that you might be 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 50, if that. What does that basically mean to you?
It means I am in the wrong field. I, so one of the things that I've learned in creative fields is that if you are one in few of a specific demographic,
Hmm.
then you need to go ahead and leave ASAP because that means that you are about to be typecasted and put into a box
Hmm.
that you probably do not deserve to be in. So I mean, I know for I mean I have a couple of pretty good guys, pretty good black creators who are doing manga, and it's a whole bunch of us, and I'm talking to a few here and there, and we're just trying to work our way through in this really tight space that we put ourselves into, but
Yeah.
the payoff will come and it'll come in tenfold. So just hard work and just being there.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, when you feel as though, I mean, I wouldn't even say if you felt as though there was opportunities to be typecast, but have you had any type of inclinations to where that was obviously happening to you because you do black indie manga?
Yeah. When I first came in the game, I made so everybody on Jazz except for from you is black, and they're a specific multifaceted version of what black is to me.
Hmm.
Um, and so when I made this, I made it because I saw too many people that were upset about like representation in like Japanese media and how they would love to have their own version of XYZ.
Hmm.
And I kind of was like, okay. So I put on my cape and was like, boom, here we go. Black versions of what you just said. This should be easy. Like it should be a easy flip. I'm over here thinking about the money I'm about to spend. And when I got into spaces, the standards and the speculations that I was given was like, this is cool, but it's not as big as this yet. So I'll wait till it gets big enough, or
Mm,
I'll wait for the anime. I don't want the manga. I want the anime. And I'm kind of like, I don't think y'all you guys like you guys understand how this shit works.
right.
And the more I kept beating my head against that, is more I was like, maybe this wasn't. I can't make this for them because while I was trying to get with them, I had people who didn't look like me tell me that they loved what they saw, and I kept kind of going like, "That's cool," but it wasn't made for y'all. But over time, I realized that's dumb as hell. This was made for the people who are coming to me and going, "I like this."
Right.
So, yeah, no, most of my issues were the audience that I thought I was gonna have, but the audience that I have now, I love them, and they have shown me love back, and I can't wait to keep making more of what they like.
Word. That's definitely positive reciprocation. Definitely you putting out a product and it's unsuspecting who your consumer is going to be.
Right.
Word. Now, pretty much I would say as far as the Kickstarter, now you've been putting out these pretty rapidly, and I get the what you were saying last time because I've heard a lot of indie comic book creators talk about the fact that they put out single issues and they're like, well, I'll just wait till you put out a volume. I want to read like a good portion of the story before I actually like dive deep and find an investment in your comic. So it'd be like I've heard that like a few times, and even take for instance with a lot of other things like most people don't like to read them issue to issue, so it tends to make the author speed up their writing process because they want to put out a good product, and that's okay. Now when you're talking about like this product, and like I said, you put out 0 and 1 pretty quickly. Like how fast are we going to get to like this first volume?
Oh man, if I wasn't gonna take a quick break after two
Hmm.
to work on this other new project, um, almost this year, if not the beginning of next year, you would get the first volume.
Wow. So like you're doing 4, 4, and 4, right? Like 4 issues in one volume each.
Yeah,
Mm, nice. Man, and that would be great to have it all in one year because you know what? Con season happens at the end of the year, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's your merchandising.
right. And I actually got invited to a couple of local cons in my town, in my state, and I had to decline because I was like, this is a great opportunity, but I don't have enough merch. I don't have enough
Right,
media,
right.
and I would feel really dumb just walk in there with like one book and be like, "Here, look at this." People like to see a spread of stuff because they feel um, like people always say that they love to be in the ground roots of things, but they
Yeah.
don't. They want to be in the already moving forward stage, so that way they can walk in and start cherry picking certain things. There's nothing to cherry pick if it's like one book. So they're like, "Oh, I'll come back later."
Oh
So,
yeah.
and that's how people are. So,
Now, would you describe Neo Haven as somewhat of what you've written so far as somewhat close to your hometown?
no, not at all. There's no potholes over there. They
Yeah,
got good streets,
they got good streets.
fantastic streets. No, great school.
That's excellent. But look, man, I appreciate you coming over here and chopping it up with me. I do appreciate the fact that we got to talk about issue 0 and now issue 1 is pretty much going to be entering everybody's hands. If they got it digitally, it's pretty much going to be in their hands already. And I'll be expecting that physical pretty soon. Now, if anybody wanted to get copies of your book that hadn't had a chance to contribute to the Kickstarter, how would they do so?
Um, I tell them, nah, nah. No, I'm kidding. Um, if you wanted a copy of Chapter Zero or Chapter One, which is not out yet, um, I normally do sales on my website,
Okay.
which is crystalink.com. And then if you follow me on TikTok, I also operate through my TikTok shop.
Mm,
And I tell people If you wanted a certain rate, a certain maybe almost faster, get it through my website. If you want it where it's cheaper and you can use coupons, get it on TikTok.
Mm. Hey, that's good to know, man. Shoot, look, every businessman got their ways of reaping the benefits of their sales, whether it's on different platforms or what, man. But that's amazing. But I once again, I appreciate you doing this with me. I've had this book for a while, so I've been wanting to talk about it for a good minute. I was glad I was able to maybe pinpoint a little bit of a spoiler for everybody that hopefully maybe some people will catch.
Oh man, I'm over here. I'm in a Discord DM right now with with my artist Ash, and I'm like, hey, this man know too much.
As a matter of fact, before we go, shout out that creative team because they did a great job.
Oh, that's true. Well, this is so the book you have behind you is that's not the
It's a
same
different
artist,
one, right?
different artist, yeah. So,
Yep.
but no, he did the damn thing, and I took care of him. So, no, Ash is here. We're here. It's up. It's nowhere but up.
Mm, that's what's up, man. All right, man. Well, hey, great to talk to you. Hope to see you in the next campaign, and we're going to talk about this story some more because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get some interesting tidbits from the next issues, whether it's issue 2 or issue 3. So I look
Oh,
forward to seeing that at the end, maybe in the middle of the next year. When should we expect issue 2, by the way?
issue two. Let's see here. It's the end of February. Issue two should be finished by April or May,
Okay, and it'll be out on Kickstarter by then.
most likely. Yeah.
My man. All right. So Christopher Curtis for Jazz, Juggernauts against Zealots. Thank you for joining me today. This is James Grandmaster Facts Boys and the Facts Project. We are out.